and the government-dominated system that preceded Obamacare. We searched the world looking for a place where the free market's allowed to work. But there isn't any. Every industrialized country copied the American, European, government-heavy model in some form. But there's one place where consumers are given a little more choice, and doctors are given a little more freedom, so there is more market competition. And sure enough, in that place, people spend less on health care, but they live longer. Where is that place? Well, William Hasseltine just flew in from there. So where's that?
That's Singapore.
So that's on the other side of the world. You just took the overnight flight. You're looking pretty fresh. That's good. You have been studying Singapore, and how does it work?
They have a system in which there's a mandatory 401k, that's what we would call it. It's a savings plan, and part of that savings plan you use for your own health, so it's out of pocket. That accounts for
government run. You must, employers and workers must contribute.
They must contribute, but it's your money. It's not a tax.
Like the health savings accounts we just talked about.
That's right. It's like it is a health savings account, but it's also a housing savings account and a retirement account. But you use that money, and it's 3/4 of the health care expenses. And when it's your money, you're more careful.
So unlike in America, maybe where we pay for 10% of the stuff directly, 3/4 of it the consumer spends in Singapore, so they shop around.
And they also have a catastrophic health insurance plan, which on the average costs 2% of the U.S. health insurance bill. 2%.
Because it's just for the catastrophe,
That's
unlike
right.
our plans, which is covering everything.
Right, and then the second principle they have is transparency, and that is critical. Transparency in price, transparency in outcome. If you're going to shop, you better know what you're buying.
So they post prices, you could say, and they're lower prices in Singapore, angioplasty, $13,000 in the United States, $83,000, gastric bypass, $15,000 versus $70,000. Also, the hospitals have greater autonomy.
Right. What they've done is they've incorporated them so they're autonomously run units that compete with one another. They compete with one another on cost and quality, and it gives the consumer a choice.
And if they make some extra profit, they can reinvest that in their hospital.
That's right.
And life expectancy there is longer than the United States.
Right. It's much longer than the United States, but in addition to that, it's every other measure. If you look at child mortality, maternal mortality, death under the age of 5, death of young people, and the incidence of diabetes and many other diseases, they do much better than we do. The United States is, in fact, just slightly above the Dominican Republic.
Well, that's on the WHO survey, which rates equality of care as if that's something
Yeah,
perfect.
but lifespan is pretty...
But part of it's because we shoot each other more often. I said this to Michael Moore.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
We're fatter than the people in Singapore.
Yeah, that's true.
And we drive cars and kill ourselves on the highway more often. So lifespan is not, I would say, the best game.
I think it's a pretty good measure, but childhood mortality is a very good measure. And they're not driving cars, and they're not shooting each other, and they're not smoking.
Thank you, William Hasseltine. You've written a book about this called Affordable Excellence, the Singapore Healthcare Story.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up, my take on Obamacare.